I left off the last video saying that I was going to read these letters to you guys. This is super personal shit. And, I debated sharing it because I don't want to disrespect my mom and her memory in any way, shape, or form. But I do think it's important to share these things. I try to think of how my mom would feel about it. And, while she was she was private in her life, she was also pretty vocal. And, I think my mom would want something positive to come out of her death. Sharing the fact that she was down and depressed, I don't think it's disrespecting her. I think it's acknowledging something that she went through, and I think people can learn something from it. My mom went through a lot in her life, and her family was everything to her. I want to share this story with you guys, and I really want people to understand, just what was going on in her life. And these are the things that happen in families. And, the more comments I read, the more I see that this isn't exclusive to my family. This is something that happens to a lot of people. And, we need to start talking about these things. Maybe it could prevent another family from going through this or dealing with this, or maybe, make somebody think before they act a certain way. So I really think it's important for me to share this part of the story. And with that said, I hope you guys stick around and listen, because the next 2 episodes are going to be about these letters that went back and forth. So with that said, I hope you guys stick around. And, the story is about to get insane, crazy. So here's the letter. I said, I wrote to both of you guys separately last night because I know my mom talked to you guys the most. I'm writing because I was asking for your help with my mom. I've tried reaching out before and kind of gave up. I'm reaching out one last time in an attempt to get you guys to help my mom help herself. This is mainly in response to what Aunt Betty wrote to me, but I'm copying Aunt Debbie too, because I think you guys both need to understand that my mom's depression is real, and it's not just because she doesn't feel good, and it plays an important role in her not taking care of herself. You guys can get mad at me for saying this, or you can think I'm crazy or focusing on the wrong things, and I'm sorry, but at this point I don't care. It needs to be said. I'm only saying it because I am desperate to help my mom and save her, and at this point I will do and say whatever it takes, even if it results in people thinking I'm an asshole. I don't care anymore. So this is in response to what Aunt Betty wrote. Boy, depression is a 4-letter word in this family, LOL. Well, she is depressed, but no one wants to admit it. I think she needs help so she will start to care for herself. When you're depressed, you don't take care of yourself. It's that simple. Read up on it. I wrote to both you and Aunt Debbie, hoping you'd encourage her, but no one wants to admit that she's depressed or seems to think it's an important factor now. She's not going to start taking care of herself if she's depressed. If that wasn't the problem for years, she probably wouldn't even be in the situation she's in, because she would have been caring for herself, going for her yearly scans, eating right, etc., etc. Everyone keeps saying, I don't know what's wrong with her. I don't know why she's not taking care of herself. But I'm telling you guys, she's depressed, and that is why she's not taking care of herself. And then I will get, well, she is depressed because she doesn't feel good. No, that's not it. She has been depressed for the last decade for a variety of reasons. Long before she didn't feel good. You guys need to realize that. She lost her husband. Does everyone forget that? That was the catalyst. Then she went through many other changes, etc., that led her to becoming more depressed. Just because she got up and went to work every day and smiled for you guys at family parties and faked happy phone calls doesn't mean she wasn't depressed. Again, read up on depression. It's ups and downs. She's a good actress, I will admit it, but I've been dealing with it for the past 10 years. My mom talks to me on a different level than you guys may talk to your daughters. We have a different relationship. She is depressed, whether anyone wants to admit it or not, and she has been for the last decade. She needs help, and if you guys won't help, I will have to keep pushing her myself. For whatever reason, everyone in this family seems to think therapy is bad, but no one ever went. Well, I did, and I honestly still do, and I can tell you that it helped me tremendously. You may not think so, but I know it has. As for the team of doctors, I told her several times she needs to find a new doctor. Well, Dr. He is nice. He's not the best doctor. Her blood pressure was high for months and he didn't put her on anything for it, which bothered me. She was anemic. He did nothing about it. She wasn't going for her yearly sonograms. He never questioned her. I asked around. A good friend of mine has a son who just had a transplant. Got his doctor's name and number. I told my mom she needs to see a nephrologist who specializes in transplant patients. She says she called the transplant center. They gave her a list of doctors. I will make sure she follows up. Let's hope she finds one. I also joined a Facebook group for transplant patients and recipients and asked there if anyone could suggest a good doctor. That's already in the works. As for her diet, I know all about that. Her doctor had her speak with the nurse and tell her that they'd send over a nutrition or dietitian. She didn't take the help and she didn't even listen to what they said. She told me, I know what to eat. I know she isn't following any diet. She's full of shit. Denial, part of depression. When I ask about it, she yells at me. She's getting nastier and nastier, part of depression. That was the same day the doctor told her she's in stage 4 kidney failure. Adds to her depression. He failed to mention it to her before then. Another reason I don't like him. As for the cancer, and now I didn't understand at this point how cancer was staged because nobody ever told me what stage she was in. As for the cancer, she was in stage 4, another reason to be depressed. She's not anymore, or at least I don't think she is, according to what I heard. Again, I was grossly misinformed. Thank God, she needs to keep up with that as well. Right now, I agree that her main priority should be saving her kidney 1,000,000,000%. But she also needs help. Depressing factors keep adding up and she's getting worse and worse and she's not taking care of herself or dealing with it. I'm trying to help her, but I can't do it alone. I keep reaching out and getting kicked back down because it's a taboo topic and everyone is scared to discuss it or acknowledge its role in her illness and the way she cares or doesn't care for herself. Just to let you guys know, the doctors and my other aunt suggested my mom go to see in the city. Part of their team and their program is therapy. Yes, it's an important part. When people are diagnosed with serious terminal or any other type of illness, it's a hard pill to swallow. They suggest you talk to a therapist so you can learn how to care for yourself and the coping skills that are needed for dealing with such a serious diagnosis. You can call her and ask her about it. I've discussed this with her and she absolutely agrees it's a necessity. I'm sorry if this is coming off mean or pushy, but you guys need to wake up and acknowledge this. I'm not telling you guys for my health. I'm telling you for hers. When you are sick like this, you start to become less of a person and more of a patient. Your life becomes being a patient. Imagine if that was your life. We all know my mom has a tendency to live in denial. I think it runs in the family. I really do. I'm sorry if you take offense to it. Get mad at me. I'm used to it. Used to being the bad guy because I say the things that no one wants to hear and I won't stop because I know where it's coming from. I'm saying them because I care and I want to help my mom. She has tons of issues, health and otherwise, and she needs to wake up and start caring for herself. She also gets mad at me and avoids talking to me because she doesn't want to deal with reality. Like I said, I'm used to it. The things I say aren't favorable. They make people uncomfortable. I get it, but please just think about it. Read about depression. It's a real thing. While we still have time to help her, we should be doing everything we could to push her towards a better life and better health, both mentally and physically. I'm tired of ignoring things because they're uncomfortable things to talk about. Also, please understand, none of this is to say that I think this should be her top priority. It's not, but it should be a priority. She should be taking care of her kidney first and foremost. Absolutely. So now I got a response from my aunt and I talk about this in the video. She responds back to me and it's so fucking insulting. This is my Aunt Betty, and this is the one who I'm saying denies everything, and she writes back to me, Dear Liana, I actually didn't read through your whole letter. I'm in the middle of babysitting, but I need to tell you that your mom listens to you more than anyone, which she knew wasn't true. If you notice something that we aren't seeing, you need to act on it. I will always be there for my sister, as I have been from day one. I'm there for every one of my family members. So I'm glad that she has you and your brother, which she knew my brother wasn't there, because I'm trying to be there for as many people as possible. My daughter, my grandchildren, and mom. You need to have a sit down with your brother to help your mom figure out what would be best for her. Then my Aunt Debbie writes back, I can't read this now. I'm in work. but I will look at it tonight when I sit down. I was really offended by this. I mean, first of all, she was very aware of the situation with my brother and, how we weren't talking to one another and how my mom was depressed over that. And, she like to sit there and say, I need to have a sit down with my brother when she knows that my brother and I are still not really talking, even though, we're allegedly cool with one another. It's insulting. And to tell me that she didn't even read the whole thing, why did you answer then? Answer me after you read everything and then maybe you'll have an understanding of it. So I wrote back to her and I said, Aunt Betty, I'm not asking you to care for her or take time away from your daughter or your daughter's kids. I understand you have other priorities. I have other people to care for as well. I got my husband and son. I don't have any help with my son. I can't tell you the last time my husband and I went out alone. Well, I can. It was well before Christmas, and my mom watched Jesse for an hour and a half so we could go Christmas shopping for him. Before then, your guess is as good as mine. Maybe February of 2015 when we went to my cousin's husband's 30th birthday. I'm just asking that if you're already talking to her on the phone, which I know you already do, then maybe mention it to her. That's all. She actually doesn't listen to me at all. If she did, we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation. I've been trying to encourage her for years already to take better care of herself and to get help. I've even gone so far as reaching out to therapists and having them contact her. I'm on her constantly about her diet and her health. She doesn't listen. As for my brother, I'm not really understanding why he needs to be brought into this. Where does he fit into me talking to you guys? I try to talk to him, but it's hard. He doesn't seem to want to talk to me in that way. I can't force him. He's busy with his own life too. I was just asking you guys to have a conversation with her because I know that after me, you and Aunt Debbie are the two people she talks to the most, and I know she respects your opinion and advice. That's all. And so she responds, telling you, Lee, she does not want to hear anything I have to say. I will continue to talk to her and try to keep her on a positive roll. And again, that's just so insulting. So I wrote back to her and I said, I know she doesn't listen, but that doesn't mean we stop trying, right? She hasn't ever listened to me, but I keep pushing her. Not sure what you meant by trying to keep her on a positive roll. Can you explain that? And then she just never answered me after this. Like, just never answered me. And it's so insulting. So insulting. Later on, I got a response from my Aunt Debbie. And I gotta tell you guys, it's insulting. It's even more insulting. And I'm gonna stop this one and read it to you guys in the next video.